Bible says there's a lion asleep in Judah. Who will wake him? No pussycat can wake up a lion. And this pussycat leadership will never wake the black man up. You're too weak in your effort to free our people from the hand of the oppressor.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother Kyle.
What's going on?
Nothing much, brother. I'm ready. You know what I mean? I like the way you started it off. We ready to rock.
Right.
And just to answer your question, when you say what's going on, we're about to go ahead and tap into some things that really, as always, you know, we feel like need to be touched on. You know what I mean? So, again, a lot of times I don't come up with titles or anything that, you know, a topic even. I let you bring up the topic, but sometimes Allah puts on my heart certain topics, and what He put on my heart with this particular video that we're about to do is first timers.
Okay.
I want to talk on first timers. We want to deal with not just first timers, but second, third, fourth, fifth timers, whatever. The success of our people and how we are receiving this message that came from Allah.
Okay.
So we want to deal with that. So we're going to open up in the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad and raised up for us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as his exalted Christ today. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is their reminder and representative in our midst today. So I want to once again greet you and the listeners and viewers in the greeting words of peace, the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Yes, sir. So let's get it in, man. That's which way we're going, and of course, any which way you want to go afterwards, we can.
Okay.
You know how we do. Did it enough times.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, you mentioned first time.
I also want to give a shout out to Jerry because we just got finished working out with our brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in case they want to know where the video is, it's probably going to be behind this one. And that's the reason I got the same stuff on. So we rocking out with the same shirt, two different videos.
Right. 2 for 1 today.
New Year's Eve, according to this world.
Right.
Let's go ahead and rock out, brother.
Okay. So what is a first timer and why is that so important?
Well, I would say, Brother Kyle, that the first timer is important because we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to hear the message at least one time. We believe that our message from Allah through the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, or given to us by the honorable Elijah Muhammad through the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we believe that that message is so powerful that it really only takes one time. It's a life-changing message. And we're in the business of changing lives. I know my life was changed when I heard it.
Right.
Your life was changed when you heard it.
Absolutely.
So we're just trying to return the favor, you know what I mean, that somebody bestowed upon us. Brother Art was the one that brought us in as first timers.
Okay.
And shout out to my uncle, Brother Art. You know what I mean? Assalamu alaikum, Brother Art. And your family, may Allah bless you and your family, continue to bless you and your family. But now we have to you know what I mean? We have to return the favor to someone else. And that's what the first timers basically means in a nutshell. It represents the resurrection of the dead, and that's our primary work, our sole purpose.
Okay. So how do we go about encourage gaining a first time? What does that look like for us?
How do we go about gaining the first timer? How do we get one?
Right.
It's us going out in the street.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We have to go out in the street, and a lot of times people are very receptive when they don't have anything. So we go to the people that Jesus went to. You know, we don't really target people that feel like they already know everything, because it's harder for us to save the life of a person who thinks he's already saved. You know what I mean? So we go right to the root of the problem. We go to the people that are looking, or who have been so downtrodden that they're not even looking to be saved. People that basically gave up. You know what I mean? On being helped even, or rightly guided. And we let them know that the guidance is here, and the torment is over. You know, when you're hungry, you're very appreciative. That's basically what I'm saying. So that's the way we go about it. We have to start off, and like Jesus did, he started off with the unlearned masses of people. You know what I mean? He didn't get the young college students. He didn't get the young cult. Now here's another video. We keep going back there because the first work is Jesus taking the last and making it the first. Well, if you got a bunch of money and you living a good life, you cannot be considered the last.
Okay.
You would be considered, you know, the first. So the last doesn't have any of these things, which makes it easy for us to fish or pull them in as a first timer. Because when you got nothing, a little bit of something looks good.
So, like from personal experience, because at one time you were a first timer,
Right.
So for a person,
really I wasn't, because my mother.
right? But you took the personal. You had to make the personal choice to fall
I
in.
was 7.
Right.
You know, so it may have been a personal choice, but to me it was. That's why the children are so important. It's really easy to bring something new to a child versus trying to teach an old dog new tricks, for lack of a better saying. You know what I mean? We all heard that saying before. So with me, I was ready for something that made sense. I loved the church. I loved Sunday school. But it just didn't make sense to say that Jesus was God and he's calling on a God. He actually says, my God, my God. That means he has a God. Why hast thou forsaken me? So if he's calling to his God, which is what Eli means, then how can God have a God? My little 7-year-old mind couldn't wrap around that. 6-year-old mind couldn't wrap around that. So when I heard the minister talking about Almighty God Allah, the one God to whom praise is due forever, my natural love for God wrapped around those statements, even though the name Allah was foreign at the time. But I still knew that he was the Father and Jesus is the Son. And that's what grabbed me as a little boy. But of course, my mother had already accepted, and I just capitalized off of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
But I don't want to change the nature of your question. You said I was a first timer at one point.
Yeah. You chose to like it's one thing like as a child coming up, like you know, like you said that's where the influence begins. Hearing something that makes sense.
Right.
And as a child, it's easier for a child to accept something, and then they can grow with something that actually does make sense from the time that they're young.
Right.
So that's a good thing. But at a point, though, as an adult now, you had to make the choice to fall in and not only be a Muslim, but to begin the journey of actually doing the work of striving to wake our people up. Like that was a choice you had to make.
Right.
So, in the sense of being a first timer in the mission, you know what I mean? What was that like for you?
Well, it was like doing the words that Master Prophet Muhammad gave us, and that was to accept my own and be myself, which is a nice little segue into which way this video probably ended up going, right? But it was, it always feels good when you do what mom and dad says.
Right.
You know, when you buck up against what mom and dad says, who know better than you, then since they do know better than we know, when you follow what they say, man, it feels a lot better than doing what you think works and it really doesn't work. So it just, man, I was a fish in water. Doing it my way, I was a fish out of water. So when I actually accepted my own and began to strive to be myself, my life made more sense. You know what I mean? So now it's like the very breath or the air that I'm breathing in. I need that inspiration in my life. There's no other way to go because our people are in so much need of that. Once you get used to being able to fix the problem, it's very hard to go back to being a part of the problem again. And I feel like a big part of our problem is the selfishness that we have. We pay attention to ourselves. We're not really thinking about other people. That doesn't fix anything. You know, we have to get out of the me mentality and get into the we mentality. The French mentality, right? We sure. We have to start helping each other, man, do better. And just like you were saying earlier, no one man can rise any higher than the condition of his people, a quote from our message.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we at with this thing.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you really like fell in and began to like make the effort to not be selfish,
right,
and to help our people, you know, to do the work. How did that help you? Do you feel like you gained more clarity as you began to actually go about the physical work?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of scriptures I was able to figure out just by doing the work.
Okay.
And I don't want to give long answers with this particular video. I want to cover a lot of area in a little bit of time. So I'll just give one example.
Okay.
It was a scripture that I could never really understand. The scripture where it talks about how Jesus was walking with the disciples and they didn't know that he was with them. And I heard that in the church too. And I never really heard anybody clear it up. And me being in the street, doing the work, answered that question. I mean, I'm sure the minister would have answered it, you know, or when I say the minister, I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or our regional minister. But I just couldn't remember that question when I was around somebody who could answer it. But Allah answered it with me out in the street doing the work. I couldn't understand how could Jesus be walking with his disciples and they not know that he was with them. The answer that I would get in church would be answers, again, that didn't make too much sense to me. I couldn't accept those answers. That he materialized or shape-shifted or something into another being, and the people thought that he was somebody else, and then after he made himself go back to looking like he used to look, then they knew that it was him, but they really didn't believe, so they asked him to show me your hands, your wounds, and stuff like that. I really couldn't roll with that. It just seemed too spacey, and a lot of times when the scripture is too spacey and too out there in left field, normally the interpretation is wrong. Turning water into wine and things like that, as if Jesus' objective was to make you have a good time at a party, and not that really mean or be interpreted that you have a deep understanding of the word, and when you understand the word, the marriage can be rightly completed between you and God, who is the bridegroom, us being the bride. It was the same thing with this thing about Jesus walking and his disciples not knowing who he was. The more practical thing came to me because when we're out in the street, we get a chance to feel what Jesus felt, on a lesser level, on a smaller degree. But you know how people will walk with us when we're out in the street. And the people who walk with us, we don't tell them to get out of here. We understand that the motivating work that God is motivating us to do, of course, attracts other people. And we out there with our bow ties on, suits and bow tie representing service to the people, so we are serving the people, and they come to be served. And a lot of times they just want to walk with us, man. So if you and I were doing a work, and I never forget this little young boy that was about 7, 8 years old. He was on a big wheel. He was riding with us one day.
Oh,
remember him? And he stayed with us for blocks and blocks. It was an older dude that kind of stayed with us. He knew one of the brothers that was with us, and he walked with us, but we didn't know him. Well, back in those days, we know that when Jesus was crucified, it was a death sentence on Jesus. The Roman authorities thought they killed Jesus. So when he beat death, like we say, and sent Mary to tell his disciples that he was alive and that he was going to meet with them later, he didn't go because he didn't want to be seen. Because if they would have seen him, they would have finished him off. So he, dressing like the gardener, if you can go back 2,000 years ago, which we're living in the last days, we can now. You can see what the gardener would look like. Big cloak or a big robe with a big hood, with big arms, and when you close it up and hold your head down, you can walk right past the Roman authorities and get past them, or walk with the disciples and they wouldn't even know that you were Jesus. And it says that then he revealed himself later. See, in a safe area, revealing yourself, when you're looking at it practically, he took his hood off. But I never knew that until I was out there doing the work. I said, wow, this man walked with us for blocks and blocks, and we never told him to get away. We wouldn't do that, neither would the disciples. So that made so much more sense than thinking that it was some ship shaping and changing, and you know what I mean? Some superhero stuff going on with scripture.
Right.
You know, so I just want to stop with that one. You know, it's many, many more. Peter cutting the ear off and healing it and all that, Jesus healing the ear. We're not going to get into all of that, but it's a lot of things that needs understanding, and you would not know unless you was out there with a Peter that's ready to cut somebody's ear off with very little knowledge.
Right. Okay.
See?
Okay.
But being out in the street helps you to see these things.
Okay. Praise be to Allah.
Absolutely. All praises to Allah.
Have you known any first timers and yourself, and have you seen growth like with them, like after accepting the mission and accepting the work?
Yeah. At one point, Brother Robert was the first time.
Yeah, let's talk about Brother Robert.
Yeah, were you trying to get me there in the first place?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not always quick. But Brother Robert is...
shout out to Brother Rob.
Absolutely. He's one of the South Philly soldiers. So we have to give a shout out not only to Brother Robert, but all the South Philly soldiers. You know? Brother Russell, Brother Abdul, you know?
Yep, the whole squad.
Yeah, the whole squad. Brother Tyrone. All the brothers that was out there soldiering with us in South Philly. You know what I mean? And yes, sir. That's what makes you a South Philly soldier, is when you're out there soldiering with us.
Right.
We all soldiers, but I'm talking about when we soldier in South Philly. That's when you get that title on you. But you know, naturally, of course, we all soldiers. We go out with our papers, we soldier. But Brother Robert, he and I used to do a lot of studying. Because Brother Rob is no follower, you know. Brother Rob, I call him Rob, or Rob, the teacher, but his name is Robert, Brother Robert, and he did what a first timer is supposed to do. He said, "It sounds great. I'm glad you happy.
Wow.
I'm glad you accepted it." He didn't say these words. I'm paraphrasing, but this was his attitude. But I'm good with Jesus. I'm good in my church. I think he used to go to Triumph Baptist. That was one of the churches he went to. But he said, I'm good. And what you're saying sounds good, but there's certain things that ain't good. And I want you to prove it to me in my scriptures. I want you to speak my language. And like I said, this is a long thing, but I'm not going to make it long. In short, Brother Robert and I, over a year, wrestled with Scripture. In a good way, we argued in the best of manners, like the Holy Quran says, and when he heard what was being said, it made sense to him. And when it started making so much sense, you know, he went on and accepted.
Okay.
He came out after us studying for, I believe, a year or close to it, and then he actually came out. And when he came out, he was ready to receive what he came out for. And he got his X quickly and skyrocketed. And he's still skyrocketing today. So I'm glad you brought Brother Rob up, because I'm always beating myself up because I haven't gotten any first timers lately. And it ain't like I'm not doing the same thing I was doing with Brother Robert, but Brother Robert was a lover of God enough where he made a move toward what he was being blessed to see. You know what I mean? After coming out. So I got an X and not a first time.
Right.
So now I got to look at myself. I feel like I got a lot more X's coming. Maybe not too many first timers, but I got a lot of X's, I believe, that's coming. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
but I'm gonna work on my first timers too.
Okay.
But like I said, my first timers, you get them right through here. I need some acceptance sheets, you know. But that's a long time to talk to your brothers. Even a stranger that comes in here takes about 40, 50 minutes. According to how the conversation is going, it might be an hour. But that's a long time to talk to a brother about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Sometimes our people mentally are not ready to receive more than that. What am I supposed to do in the meantime? Not say anything about the God that saved my life? What am I supposed to do? Being a student in the ministry. What am I supposed to do? Talk about sports or something and give him an invite and cross my fingers and hope that he keeps his word? And our people don't know supreme wisdom that, you know, my word is bond is life, and I'll give my word I'll give my life before my word shall fail. I mean, these teachings are not given to our people, so they don't act like the teachings has been given. Have you not learned that your word is bond and bond is life? You know? No, they haven't learned. So I get the promise. 5 promises, 6, 7, 8, 10 promises, and maybe one person will come out, or sometimes none. You know? I'm not shocked though. But whatever it is, I have to work on it. And that's why I'm so thankful to Allah that we're in a nation that don't continue to do the same thing looking for a different result. You know what I mean? And another shout out to Brother Wazir, who got the Fishers squad coming. See, because that to me is casting thy net on the right side now. When we get our fishing team together, I believe this is going to be very, very big. Because now we're casting our net on the right side. And I know this is going to blow up because our people want to see unity. We can keep talking about unity all day long. But until you are able to show them what you keep eloquently explaining to them, a lot of people might not budge. That's the problem that we have. We're not budging because they heard it all before. A lot of the times. And rightfully so, because the minister has done his work.
Right.
I mean, he has reached the 4 corners of the earth. I mean, he's been all over the earth. He has circled the globe, 196,940,000 square miles of this earth. He's been all over, teaching what was given to him through the Christ.
When you travel overseas, you'll meet people who know who are aware of him.
Yes. So now here we are, trying to pull them in. And what I've learned is a lot of times they're afraid. That's what I've learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, then, what can be done to ease the anxiety of a person who's interested and who's new?
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, just like the woman who was bleeding, and oh man, and she heard some of the message by touching the hem of the garment. You know what I mean? She heard a message that nobody else was receiving. So that one woman got it. You say, well, what could we do to ease the anxiety? See, when the woman got healed and she told Jesus that it was me that touched the hem of your garment, me that heard some of the message, he turned and told her, woman, it is your own faith that has made you whole. She thanked him. You know what I mean? She gave credit to Jesus. And Jesus, knowing that he wasn't directing what he was saying to her, didn't even know she was behind him. He said, woman, it is your own faith that has made you whole. Right? So now, God is the one that's in charge of who becomes whole and who doesn't. No matter what we do, we can get the blood off our hands. That's all we can do. But we can't make people whole. Even if we do it in the name of Allah, and it's their own faith that will make them whole. But if they don't become whole, it's because of themselves, and Allah ultimately is the final judge. And I just personally believe that when they reject us, they should fear even more. To be honest, I don't want to make it sound like that, but it is what it is. So what can we do to ease their fear? I really don't know, because I know that things is going to tighten up so much that it's going to be fear that's going to bring them in once they see what's coming.
Wow.
That's just to be totally honest.
That's heavy, brother.
Praise be to Allah. That's real. That's what I feel. That's what I see. It's not about making it easy for them.
Right.
We've been through a Christ figure already. And we had a divine reminder. We have a divine reminder right now. Now what? After God came already and raised up a Christ figure for us. And when we reject that Christ figure and his reminder, what's next? Making it easier? No, that don't make sense. Now it has to be made harder. Now, I don't want to make it harder, but Allah does.
Wow.
It's like any other parent. How many times can your parent tell you to clean the yard? One day you're going to come home and you're going to be so pretty. So I'm just the man that's going to tell you that you should fear. Go clean the yard. Please, bro. Right. And if you won't clean the yard, then man, I don't even want to give you a pillow, because I don't want to be next.
Right.
I'm not going to be a sympathizer. I'm not similar to you disobeying our Father.
Wow.
I'm receiving what I'm being given to the best of my ability. I'm hearing and I'm obeying to the best of my ability. I just suggested our brothers do the same.
Wow.
And that's why we're making this video.
Indeed. Now, let me ask you this, because this is going to go right in line, I feel like, with what you're saying. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that, and I'm paraphrasing the book, but he explained that the sun represents the truth. Right. And that when the sun casts its rays onto the earth, it strikes it in a certain spot, and that's what causes it to rotate and move on its axis. Right. But in the same way, that the truth, when a person can hear the truth and receive it, it will cause them to change in the same way that the sun. So do you think hearing the truth, what is it, like, is the truth that people are hearing causing them to want to change? Or how can a person hear the truth but not be encouraged to move if they're hearing truth?
Just like I said, casting thy net on the right side, they have to be angled to hear it.
No.
And that's why the devil is the angle controller.
Wow, okay.
You see the light that they continue to paint the minister under. How can the light hit you right when you got somebody turning you away from it?
Praise be to Allah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All praises be to Allah.
Now, I really want us to roll with this. You know what I mean? If the questions are if the answers are sharp, let's roll. We know how we do.
Okay. So, well, what do you think?
I don't want to drag out the answers. Is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine.
Not for this particular.
So, what are we doing now, right? And then what could we be doing differently?
More of.
Okay.
Or different? Yeah. What we're about to do with Brother Wazir, that's a big move. I mean, we were out Sunday doing the very thing that I feel like it's not working for me personally. You know what I mean? And I know sometimes you can have mental blocks, you know what I mean? Because it's working for somebody, but ultimately it's not working for us as a mosque because we're not packing our house. Even with the first time. He comes out for the first time and hears this message for the first time. What about the second time? Third time? What about his ex? You know, when are we going to seal the deal? That's how you pack the house, I believe. I don't believe you have churches where you have a group of different people every week. It's people that continue to come out, whether they be members of the church or just visitors of the church. But they frequently visit that particular church. And then they become members later. But to think that we can have 100, 200, 300 people coming out every week, I mean, can we? Anything is possible. All things is possible. It's impossible with man, but with God, everything is possible. I get it, right? But at the same time, what we can do different is trying to lock some of this down. And we have to do things different, because if we continue to do the same thing looking for different results, then that's our own definition of insanity. And there's nothing insane about me in that area. So I believe we all insane to a degree. But in that area, I understand that if something doesn't work, we should do something different. So with this fishing squad that we're putting together, I believe that, see, it's all coming to me now, that we're going to be a lot more successful because we've been basically given titles to the years that we're coming into, right? You remember, Allah blessed me from studying Mother Tainetta Muhammad. Her book called Al-Tariq, right? The Comer by Night, Surah 86. So when we were 86 years away from the coming of Allah to us in the person of Master Farah Muhammad, which was in 1930, 86 years later after was 1986.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2016, right? So that year actually worked exactly like the Comer by Night, because that's when black people, Colin Kaepernick and a bunch of different people that they did not think, the dude Cruz, what's his name?
Thomas Cruz?
Huh? No. His last name is Cruz. The heavyset black dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wait, no, not the actor.
Yeah, the actor.
He's not coming. His name's not coming. It'll come. It'll hit me in the
I got you with him. He was in Blackish, I believe. You know what I mean? The heavy,
right?
Or the muscular guy. Yeah. But you had people that even Will Smith and Jada Pickett, everybody, you know, Chris Rock, you know, all these brothers, you know what I mean? Terry Crews, there it is.
Right, that's it.
All these brothers were just coming out. Terry Crews did a video on the Breakfast Club that was very insightful. You know, so that was all in 2016, 86 years after coming to Master Farah Muhammad teaching us in 1930. We recognized the Holy Quran basically giving a title to each year after. The year after that was Al-Ila. And Al-Ila, they started talking about the UFOs. They acknowledged the fact that the UFOs are real. That was in 2017. A lot of stuff happened. I'm just going to breeze through it quick. But 2018, which was last year, you know what I mean? Here we are, day before New Year's Day. This is New Year's Eve. But last year, 2018, was the overwhelming events. And we talked about what happened in 2018 from the beginning to the end, how the weather was overwhelming. And Surah 88 was entitled The Overwhelming Events. And now here we are in Surah 89, which is the dawning. Or I want to get it right. You know what encouraged me to do this is Sister Hadija. So I'm going to give a shout out, Al-Fajr.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister
Hadija. I want to give a shout out to Sister Hadija because she said, Brother Zebulon, I like when you stop and get the book. You know, because people want facts, man. I mean, we're going to talk so many different things. So, Al-Fajr. And that is Surah 89. We are literally 89 years from the coming of Master Farah Muhammad in 1930. And Al-Fajr, isn't it deep that Fajr prayer is the obligatory Fard prayer in the morning? And we're at the end. Minister Rodney was just talking about this last Sunday. We are at the end of our drunken stupor or our sleep. And we're at the beginning of the first prayer, Fajr prayer, that you must wake up to. See, and our people must wake up, whether they're doing good financially or bad. You're asleep. And that's why you can't respond properly. First timers, hard to get a first timer that's asleep. So hopefully in 2020, they'll have spiritual 2020 vision.
Okay.
You know, we can pull them in better like that.
You're not the first person who a sister was actually talking about 2020. Same thing about vision.
See, that's that spirit, man. Yeah. Holy Spirit. The Christians call that the Holy Spirit. And whoever says it, all praise is due to Allah. I never heard anybody say it, bro. You know, great minds think alike, because the spirit is at the root of every great mind. Let's do it. I don't care who says it. Let's get some first timers, second timers. Let's get some X's. Let's take our world. Because it's right there on a platter.
Okay.
Yep.
So, with everybody waking up then, how does it look for us?
With us who? Meaning who?
Like
I
us.
need to be more specific.
Us who are in the streets, the FOI, the NBT.
Well, again, it looks like all you gotta do is put your bib on. How does it look if you have food in front of you? You look like you about to eat.
Right.
Oh yeah. Now that's an easy question with an easy answer attached to it. The harder question would be, how do they look since they're waking up? How do our people look? To me, they look scared, and that's why they won't keep their word. Because they know this 2020 vision thing been brewing for a long time, that the minister is the man. They know that the Nation of Islam has the answers. But it's a scary thing, because they also know that they're going to have to be saviors. They know they're going to have papers and start fishing. They know that they're going to have to soldier. Are you ready for all of that? When you've been doing it your way and having it your way? You know what I mean? They know they're going to have to drop that swine instantly. Some people like pork. And they don't want to drop it. That could be a dilemma for them. So they may love the teachings, but I don't want to stop eating pork. And when you've been reduced to dust or nothing, or dead people or asleep people, your body and you're not going to respond properly when you're asleep, because you can't process information asleep as good as you can awake. You know what I mean?
No. Perfect.
Your faculties are not ready to be as keen as they would be if you were wide awake. So you're not going to hear a person the way you would if you were awake. You may be able to hear them, but you're not hearing them enough where you can do something about what you hear.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they look like. So Fajr prayer, the sun doing what it do, but you not doing what you're supposed to do as the sun does what it does.
Wow. Okay.
And when I say you, I mean us.
Right.
I mean we.
Right.
All can do better.
Let's see. So you mentioned fishing, right? Just explain for like, what does that mean? Why is that term used, and what does that actually mean?
Well, Jesus said to Peter, the first thing he told Peter was, "Come follow me. I make you a fisher of men." You know what I mean? And fishing spiritually, of course, it wasn't like Jesus again was telling Peter, "Come on, let's go to the Sea of Galilee," right? Or in the River Jordan, and get our fishing hooks that are big enough to fish a man out of the sea. You know what I mean? So this is the metaphors that Christ would use. This is the dialect that they would use. You know, the parables they would use. So when you think that these things are actual, it always snags me, because it's amazing to me that we can be so spiritually immature that we really believe that Jesus is calling a dead man out of the cave, "Hey, Lazarus," and he's getting up and coming out. That you don't know that Jesus is showing you a pattern in a language that's figurative, and that figurative language is metaphoric, and it's not absolute. So if you try to look at a serpent that can talk, that got legs, that God got angry at, took his legs from, and made him eat dust. See, if this is your mentality of a tree with the knowledge of good and evil, and you walk away thinking that the tree got knowledge of good and evil, I can't wrap my mind around, why are you still so dull, Jesus would say. Why are you still so stuck looking at it like a baby would look at it? Like a child looking at Bugs Bunny talking. Daffy Duck talking. You a spiritual baby reading scripture, and we're blowing the trumpet of truth trying to give you 20/20 vision so you can see this thing right. So when you were asking what does fishing mean, it's symbolic, metaphoric. And we are the fish people out of the sea of sin and death. Right? Now, that is our job. A lot of people say, what's next? What's next? The minister is even saying that this may be his last Savior's Day. He's saying that according to what he teaches us and tells us, because Allah is going to bring him in. Because he has done his job. You know what I mean? I feel like we should work very diligently, like Minister Rodney said last night at FY class. We got to work with everything that we have, man. Work like we crazy. And I was all hyped up. I'm ready to work like I'm crazy, you know, because I realized that life is short. And I realized that we're in a big fight that we don't even understand. A lot of us are so filled up with radiation, and cancer, and people are dying every day, loved ones of cancer. And it's like, how do you choose to live the rest of your life? Like a wimp or like a warrior? You know what I mean? Like a punk or a prophet? Which way you gonna go with this thing? Well, if you wake up like we do every day with our health and strength, blessed with our right state of mind and our health and strength, then make the right decision. I don't want to go out like a chump. I want to go out like a champion. If I got to go out. But don't you know, Jesus said when you give your life, you'll receive it. Right? And he said whoever tries to save his life will lose it. Then stop being a chump, man, and do what you're supposed to do. Older people for counsel, younger people for war. The mindset of Joshua generation. So after the minister did his job and did what he was did the work that he was given to do, and here our people are getting worse morally, getting worse economically, right? Getting worse spiritually. What do I mean? Well, our morals are so low that we don't even know what's right anymore. You know, our morals are so low, we don't even know what we should be doing and what we should not be doing, what we should accept and what we should not accept. So now it's to each his own. This is parents talking to the children, to each his own. There's no more guidance when it comes down to our future. Which way should I go? Anything goes today. Economically, we have individuals that's doing better, like our brother was saying. But collectively, we're not doing better, because when I was coming up, every corner of the hood was owned by a black man or woman. We had black corner stores. I don't know any black corner stores today.
Right.
I don't believe you do either. So that's not doing better. That's doing a lot worse. Right? So, spiritually, if you don't even want to talk about God, how can that be spiritually better? I didn't say talk about religion, because a lot of times religion is a big part of the problem. You know, because people are trying to control the way you see things and make you see it their way. You know, when you have a religion that says that if you don't do this way, if you don't get down with us, you ain't gonna make it. See, that's like mind control. But real Islam doesn't teach that. Real Islam says all who believe, we talked about it in our last video, and does good, and believes in Allah and the last days and the messenger of Allah, will get their reward and won't have to grieve. The Muslims, the Jews, the Sabians, the Christians, it says this. So this would be the kind of religion that's not even a religion, but you can use it as one. But these religions, they are the ones that say, if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. If you're not this type of Muslim, you're going to hell. You know, that's the Al-Qaeda mentality. Know what I mean? yeah, if you don't do it my way, I almost want to kill you. If you don't accept this or that, then you're not going to make it. See, that is the problem, man. That kind of thinking. So spiritually, you cannot be doing better if this is what we're falling into. When you don't have love for the brotherhood. So don't tell me that you are growing from death into life because you have no love for the brotherhood. You know what I mean? You have love for a religion that you want to force on the brotherhood. You know, so you clearly don't understand what John is saying, 1 John about, or Paul is saying. That you can tell that we are going from death into life because we have love for the brotherhood.
Right.
Yep.
Damn, that was heavy.
Praise be to Allah. But you heavy, and I know you got more to come in because we're going to really rock out with this, brother. We're going to kind of stick with the narrative of why are we not responding? Why are we not taking this message that is so heavy like you just said? Wow, that was heavy. Well, they hear it too. The minister, they don't get no heavier than him. So they hear the minister, but they're not responding. Why? You see what I'm saying? This video, I want us to deal with why. Are we not responding? Why? Are we not packed with this teaching? Why is supreme wisdom not making supreme people? Why? You know, it's because two gods are on the scene. That's why. You have an evil one, and the evil one is the one that we are well acquainted with. And then you have a true and living God. I'm going to say that again. A true and living God. But the phony God teaches you about the mystery God that you don't thoroughly understand, so the fake God can pose as him. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. You got a lot of people that think they're rolling with the right God. Then you got a lot of people that's been used to rolling with this wrong God. So even as we enter into 2020 and their vision gets sharper, old habits die hard, brother. I know many people who feel stuck, man, and they are depressed spiritually. I know many people who are depressed spiritually because they know that they rolling with the wrong religion. There's nothing they can do because they are allowing traditions of men to dictate their future. Because they don't want to say I'm wrong. They don't want to have to start over again. And I try to share with them that the loving God that we have, oh man, brother just popped in my head that I really love dearly. My brother has been with me for a long time. It's almost as long as you, Brother Kyle. And he's going through some hardship right now, and I don't want to put his business out there because it's very personal. He knows who he is. And he knows who I am. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah. I use everything that I have to wake our people up. So I'm going to use that very personal, very personal situation as something that can help relate what I'm about to say to our brothers and sisters without going into the details of it, right? But that brother said when he's in a position that he feels kind of helpless with, and we went into a talk about how trials purify.
Okay.
And I was sharing with him that we just went through that. I had just said it a couple of weeks ago about trials purify. Surah 29, section 1. And he said it really helped him. Because, you know, I'm not going into it. But I will say what he said at the end of it, that he received what I said, but this is his response. He said to me, wow, how do you continue to move on when you know that everything you've been taught is wrong? How do you move on, he said, when you have given so much to something that is wrong? And all of the things that other people say that they're supposed to do, pray, surely my prayer, sacrifice, life and death, I've given this to something that's wrong. Can you imagine somebody saying that to you? It shook my soul, man. But I believe thoroughly that Allah speaks through us. And Allah gave me something to say to him that I don't even want to say was comforting, because he would have to say that, but I will say it was accurate. Yup, I will say it's accurate. I don't want to go back with texting and texting. Yes, only have one in the chair. And I almost want to say, and no, I can't hold your spot. That way we can just get through the text message. Boy, that technology, man, a comedian was saying, do you remember how it used to be when you didn't know who called you until you got back home? Man, I remember how it was when I went out with a woman that I like, or at that time, a girl that I would like, and it was just me and her with no interruption. Okay. It's never you and her anymore. It's you and everybody else, the group texters. It's with y'all on your date. Right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of social media at all, but we use it. We're using it now. But yeah. So this is what Allah blessed me to say to him. I said, I quoted that scripture. I showed it to him. Actually, I let him read it. That Allah is not going to take your hard work away from you. If you did give your prayer, sacrifice, life and death to Allah, even if you thought you was doing it for a religious reason, Allah never made religion in the first place. Your good deeds are not going to come back to you voided out. You know what I mean? It's going to be worth something. Allah doesn't waste the good deed of a person that does these good deeds, you know? So I told him, everything you believed in about Allah or God, Jehovah, whatever you call him, and his Christ is absolutely true. It's just not the white one. It's not the one that you thought it was. That's all. It's a real story about another person. And if you are humble enough to exercise Allah's will and not yours, you should be able to make the adjustment without even leaving your church. You really don't have to leave your church. You can start letting your light shine right there in the darkness. You know, so your work is not in vain. That's what I shared with him and showed him. You know what I mean? Allah, God wouldn't do that and say, oh, y'all should have got it right. This group got it right. There's going to be some people in our group that don't get it because of the heart, right? God judges by the heart. Right. So, wow. That's what I shared with him. But this is what our problem is with people today. We're afraid to get away from traditions of men. We're stuck because deep down inside, we worship these religions and not Allah. We want our religion to be right, and when our religion is not right, aka our God, which is religion, then we want to just give up on God. You're not giving up on God, or you're giving up on your religion. You never was sacrificing to God, you were sacrificing to your religion. See, your religion is the problem, not God. And our stubborn way of worship and sacrificing our lives for these religions is the problem. You know what I mean? Our people are stuck in that.
And I guess that would explain all the division that you see out here.
Right. Yeah. But let's get a little clarity. Let's give a little clarity to our work. Who are we? What is our job? Where do we fit in? Right? Well, when Allah does something, magnificent. This is going to take, it seems like I ain't going to have a final thought after this one. But when Allah does something magnificent, and he comes to us in the person of a human being that has power over the forces of nature so he can destroy this world whenever he sees fit, because they have no technology, no weapon that's formed that can stop the weather. See what I'm saying? The weather can always get you. And if this man has the power over the forces of nature, there's nothing that they can do to fight a man like that. So that's magnificent for Allah to come in the person of a man that in the Muslim world we call the Mahdi. Fantastic. Let's keep moving. Watch this. And if that Mahdi, the one that has the power to destroy everything that we see, exercises his ultimate power by not even doing it himself, but taking one of the so-called dead men and resurrecting that man spiritually, not hanging out in the graveyard, and making that one his Christ. And giving him what the scriptures would say, Hebrews chapter 1, the keys to everything. Making that man greater than the angels. Right? Now that man has the power, talking about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to destroy the wicked. He's the Christ that has the power to crush the wicked. Fantastic, right? I just want you to walk with me with this. And to show that that man has the power that the man who raised him up has, he empowers another. Making that one his divine reminder. Of course, that one is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Fantastic. Without him, I wouldn't be here. Because you, me, and the rest of us, a lot of us, we never heard the message. Right? Does it stop there? Of course not. Can't wait to answer that. What has to happen now? What can follow that fantastic event that took place 3 times before where we are now? In other words, what is next, right? We as believers believe that they have power. Minister Rodney was talking about Surah 110, the 2 ones in the 0 that's behind the 2 ones, or the 2 ones that's backing the 0, right? What happens now? See, now God has to take a people that are nothing. And when we exercise power, how fantastic is that? When a whole nation can rise up now because of the teachings of those 3 men. Primarily, really, for us, like I said, the reminder. For us to really receive the mind of the reminder, who is the first 0. Right? When the rest of the zeros file in, look at that number. And I don't want to speak metaphorically. I'm just saying we are in a position to do greater. Like Jesus said, you will do greater works will you do in my name. Not greater in your name, that's arrogance. But greater in his name who woke us up. That's what's coming. And when that comes, that is the end. Because they cannot defeat us all. They cannot kill us all. They cannot, deceive us if we all accept them 3. And if they try to get us, what God did for the children of Israel in the wilderness. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Allah will destroy them. In short.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
I want to travel backwards for a second.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
So let's say if a person is, they're inspired by, you know, everything that you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they come to the mosque for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and they're inspired by the things that they hear Minister Rodney teaching on,
Mm-hmm.
and it really opens up their mind, right?
Right.
So now they're first timer, they've come out, and let's say they decide to accept and join the mission. How does one think about the actual process of becoming a fisherman, of being able to do the responsibilities of a member of the Nation of Islam? How does a person who's never had these types of, you know, this type of work or duty before,
Mm-hmm.
how do they become comfortable with this? How does that work?
It's a process. You got to start off with yourself. That's all.
Okay.
Self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
We don't put you out there, force you out there before the right time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even put you on post until you know your general orders. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it should be something that question is very good, and it's great for our people, so you can know that we're not going to speed you along faster than God would have us speed you up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal process.
Mm-hmm.
And Allah is the one who's going to be the guide. You know what I mean? And He knows best.
Mm-hmm.
When you're ready, when you're not ready, all we have to do is accept His will over our own.
Mm-hmm.
And Allah will take over from there. He just uses us as vessels.
Okay.
Know what I mean?
Now, I felt like you made a great point talking about arrogance,
Right,
versus you know, wanting to do something in your own name,
right,
versus doing it in the name of the teacher, the sender.
right. The one that raised you up.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do you think arrogance is something that our people struggle with?
Is arrogance something? Of course it is.
Okay.
Arrogance is something that is so impactful in most of our lives, because when you've been reduced to nothing, we just can't wait to run out there and show people that we still got a little something going on.
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance seems like it kind of affects us more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The Europeans are very arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at the movies and see that.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't a desperate type of arrogance,
Mm-hmm.
because they get a chance to impose their arrogance on the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if you are as arrogant as they are and don't have what they have.
Mm-hmm.
How much more insecure would you be? Nothing is worse. That's a deadly combination.
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance by itself is bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what about arrogance for no damn reason? Use expression. You know what I mean? Excuse me, guys. But if you arrogant with nothing,
Mm-hmm.
now you a walking lie to your own self.
Mm-hmm.
You have no reason to be throwing your weight around. You ain't got no weight.
Right.
You got words, no weight.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Uh-huh.
So arrogance is not good at all. Very, very prevalent among us because everything was stripped from us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like Minister Ronnie was saying before, so we have trinkets now
Mm-hmm.
that we like to use to show that we got something going on. You know how much I paid for it? I feel like shirt. This ain't no regular shirt like yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
Feel like material? Bow tie? Oh yeah, this ain't no clip on.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, these are little things now that we use to make us who we are, who we want to be. Because you ain't really what you're trying to be.
Right.
With your Versace on. You didn't make that.
Uh-huh.
Neither did your people. Even if he took the design from your people, on record, you ain't make it. You got some gators on, Maury gators. The alligator skins were brought in, like it says, in hidden colors. from Africa before they can make these Maori gators named after the Moorish people. Really? That sounds good. Is it documented? Is it factually correct? Or can you fact check that and find a problem with that? You know, so why are you excited over wearing somebody else's stuff? That is a weak arrogance. All arrogance is bad. His arrogance is bad too, because he can force you into thinking that he's what he's not. There's a lot of pressure in that, because we're in the day of truth right now. And that's, you built yourself up so high, Humpty Dumpty. When you have this fall, you're going to be cracked up in many pieces. Nobody going to be able to fix their ego.
Wow.
I ain't even got to go further into that.
Right. All right. A person coming in, like, is it? I feel like once someone posed the question, like, is it possible to, like, what if you get, like, some people have a feeling like they might get lost. You know what I mean? Like joining something altogether new, and you know, like they might get lost and like, you know, they will no longer be themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's funny.
have you heard that before?
No, I mean, I heard it, but they didn't know they were saying it.
Okay.
You already lost. That's why I had to laugh.
Right.
You scared to be lost, and you lost already.
Mm-hmm.
You scared that you're going to lose something? Where your name at? Didn't you lose it?
Wow.
You scared you're going to lose something. Where's your real God at? Before you were a slave, who did you worship? You lost that. So what are you afraid of? You're afraid of losing what? You lost everything. You lost your name, your language, your culture, your God. What more can you lose? Like Trump said, what do you have to lose? Really, nothing. So it's a fake fear that our people are laboring under, this fake fear, man. Afraid to come hear something. And see, to me, like I said in the Melanin Connection to God, our music mix that we put out there, praise be to Allah for that. But I don't believe that the hood is stupid. Remember I said that? So if the hood is not stupid and you know something, not only do you know something, you know a lot. You're afraid of what you know. And you're intentionally not responding. That's a part of this first timer problem. We think our people don't know what they really do know. It's almost like saying we think that the minister didn't do his job. He successfully delivered that message. They got it, man. You out with me? I don't know about no other city, but I do know about Philadelphia. How often do we go out there and they don't know? They might not know Farrakhan, but don't they know something? They know what he taught. They just don't know he the one that taught it.
Or they'll say something.
Yes.
Yep.
Our people got knowledge. We just did a video with our brother. He talking about doing for self and all that stuff. That's the teaching. Right. He even said, no, that was before that. He knew. Didn't we have something before that? 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he knows something. So now that we know, what do? You know what I mean? He doesn't even know what the brothers knew at the so-called projects. I ain't gonna say so-called projects, that's what it is. It's a science project made to teach people how to kill themselves. You know what I mean? How do we make people hate themselves so much that they'll kill themselves right in their own neighborhood? Let's pack them on top of each other. Let's put enemies across the street from each other. You have a beef with a brother on 5th Street, let's take that brother and put him across the street from you right there in Wilson Homes. Now you got to wake up to a person to kill somebody in your family. And let's see how long it takes before we can get the yellow tape popping. See, they do these things intentionally. But remember, we were at the project on Cumberland Street, down the street from the mosque.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was a brother that had a laptop out there. Remember, he was talking about the book of Job. He said that Job reminded him of him. That brother had knowledge. How many brothers speaking Arabic to us? You know what I mean? We at 32nd Street, the State apart. They got knowledge. Shout out to my brother Frank. I hope you're listening, Frank.
Yeah.
Knowledge, man. We love y'all, man. We love our people. More than what y'all were just talking about in our video about entrepreneurship with Jerry. You know what I mean? Right. These brothers, they got a pretty good understanding. So we have this knowledge, right? And now what? You know what I'm saying? Not talking about them, but there are people that won't do what Frank did. They won't even talk to us. They have the same knowledge he got, but won't talk to us. What do you do with that kind of person? What do you do with a person that feels like he don't need you? See, these are degrees. You know, but like we always say, he's in the mosque. He goes to the masjid. Right? That's different. That's different. He's in the street. He's pushing what he's pushing. That's different. No, when I say pushing what he's pushing, I'm talking about the teachings, Islam, the way he sees it. That's different. He's doing what Allah would have him to do, and he will be blessed, inshallah. You know, we see him like we see ourselves. We pushing what we believe. But Frank has a thorough or respectful love for the minister. You know what I mean? He's been supportive in spite of what the devils are doing, using religion to keep people like us and them apart. You know, I don't know if you were with me. You were with me last Sunday when the brother started. We were on 16th in Cumberland, and I tried to hand the brother the Final Call newspaper. Man, I don't even want to say the Final Call newspaper without showing how powerful our paper is. I'm working right now, and I can't get out there right now, but I can't wait to get out with this. I'm going to start off with last week's. Look at this, man. This is amazing. This is amazing. Check this out. Who would turn this down who's alive? We're at the end of the year, 2019, right? The year in review. We're reviewing this year. Good, the bad, the ugly. Ain't that what we said when we were at 22nd in Jefferson? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of our own race. But on the top of this paper, it says, the challenge to change. And it says, who is your leader?
God or see.
Oh, this is beautiful. God or see. See, that can go for any believer. I don't care who you call yourself. What you call yourself, that's a question that can go to any believer. All believers should ask themselves that. Watch this. Watch this. Look at this book here. And I'm not being arrogant. And I ain't trying to get no sales, but I just want you to show you the correlation today. You know what I mean? Another look at your religion. That means you got to ask yourself, who is your God? God or Satan? Now, whatever you come up with, we know your situation even if you don't know your God. You know we need separation. We do know that. And if you do not do what God told Moses to do, the prophet that's mentioned more than any other prophet in the Holy Quran, if you don't do what God told Moses to do, then death is your future. We're in a serious time, and that's why we have to work like there's no tomorrow, brother. I just had to give people a visual. We're visual people.
Right.
We don't have time for little petty differences, man. Yeah.
You know what? One of I'm thinking about something you mentioned earlier about the hard side of not accepting the truth and the responsibility that Allah is putting on people today.
Right.
One of Allah's attributes is I forget the name in Arabic, but it's the humiliator.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because oh man. Well, I was going to save that for a final thought, but man, I'm going to let nature take its course. But I'm going to say this: you deserve to be humiliated.
Okay.
Not you, but people who do what I was going to use as a final thought. It just hit me. Okay. I started to make a little jot, but I try not to do that because I want it to come from the source, you know?
Right. But it's okay. But it's all linked in, so.
It's all linked in, that's why I don't care. When it comes, I put it out.
Right.
And when some, you know, whatever it is, I just want to exercise the life that the minister gave us. We have life where we can just speak, man. Believe me when I tell you. All of us who accept him, you will be anointed to speak. That's the next move. All of us. But see, I want to get, this is what I was going to use as a final thought.
Okay.
And when you said the humiliator, see how Allah is pulling it out of me?
Yeah.
You throw that word out there, and it's true, they need to be humiliated because when I say they, anybody who plays with Allah, anybody who says they believe in Allah, and anyone who says they believe that he came in the person of Master Muhammad. I know people like that. They say they're in the Nation of Islam because they're giving charity every now and then. They're not, they don't have their ex, but they're giving charity. They believe in Allah. They feel like that's all they got to do because Allah judges by the heart. Well, what are you doing then? You can't say, surely my prayer, my sacrifice. What are you sacrificing? My life and my death are all for Allah? Is it really? You can't say that because your will is being exercised and not the will of Allah. Because a Muslim who believes that there is no God but Allah, right? And a Muslim who submits his will completely to do God's will, if God say come in the nation and sell papers, that's what God's will is. Ain't no way around that.
Right.
You know what I mean? If Allah says make your shahada, go to this particular masjid and take your shahada and become Muslim in that way, ain't nothing that that's what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I want to get back to 16th and Cumberland too, but I just want to share this last, this thing right here. Some people, then I'm going to jump back to that 16th and Cumberland.
Right.
But some people feel like they smarter than Allah. See, our people have learned all of these wicked, rotten qualities that the Europeans forced on our people. We grew up with their name doing things not in the name of Allah, but in the name of Jefferson, and the name of Jackson, and the name of Clinton. You know what I mean? We've been doing things in the name of Roosevelt. You know what I mean? We've been doing things in the name of Carter. You doing things the way your slave masters did it. Doing things in the name of Lincoln. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we think we can con God, man. Yeah, you got people, really, man, it's real, that feel like, I know that the minister is the man of God. I already know he's the Christ, the Holy Spirit of the Christ. I know Elijah Muhammad. At one point I thought he wasn't, but man, ain't no way he can make Muhammad Ali. Ain't no way he can make Malcolm X, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and all the other people that's with him if he ain't Christ. I know he's Christ. I know he's Christ. Really? And that's the way you live after knowing that? You know it, so what you waiting on? I know it's a hard life. And I'm going to try to get as much of this life as I can. And right when I see it, got to be some signs of God getting ready to tear this thing down. That's when I'm enjoying. That's when I'm going to get my ex. You see what I'm saying? I know people like this, man. I'm sorry for getting loud, but I know people like this.
It's the way you demonstrate.
Yeah, because that's what it is. I know what's going on. When you do this, that means a person's crazy, right? It's some crazy people, man.
Right.
That say they down with us.
Okay.
You ain't down with us, you crazy Negro. You not down with us, man. Oh, man, I hope this is not going to offend anybody. And I definitely don't want to talk too fast and be too hard on my leaders' followers. You know what I mean? But Lord have mercy, man, look at yourself. Dracula never wants to see a mirror. He's knocking out your hand, right? I'm showing you a mirror, man, and I'm not doing it in an righteous or self-righteous way. I'm just saying, come on, man. You're not stupid. You know what it is. How many times you going to have Brother Kyle invite you out? You know what it is. How many times you going to lie to Brother Russell? How many times you going to lie to Brother Zebulon? I'll be there. Oh, yeah. What are we asking you to do? Accept your own and be yourself. We got to beat it over your head? Why we got to do tumble salts for you? To accept your own and be yourself, right? Why? Because you feel like you're getting something out of this world. You really want the best of this world and the after world. And whatever. The hereafter and the here and now. Man, oh man. It's hard teaching truth to weakness. They talk, oh yeah, man, the minister teaches truth to power. I know. And we teaching truth to wickedness. Truth to weakness. It's real hard. We teaching the truth to weakness, but they love the wickedness so much they ain't gonna respond. They so wicked that they think they can outthink God, man. That's what they waiting on. So they can do less work than we're doing. You know what I mean? Now let's jump back to the brother on 16th and Cumberland, right?
Yeah. Y'all were having a good, that was a good interaction.
You think so? I didn't think so. I'm a better actor than I thought.
Okay.
I love our brother. We have to take much. That's what we're taught, to take much. This is the way I really feel. I'm tired of you making us bend over backwards, really, to make you accept your own and be yourself. We're just trying to give you the knowledge of self back. We're trying to give you the knowledge of God, the accurate knowledge. Oh my goodness. I know I got a customer coming in here, so I just want to say this really quick.
Okay.
Offered the brother the Final Call newspaper. Very powerful paper. I seen that paper change lives, so I'm offering life to you. Nah, man, I'm all right. He gave me the greetings, but I'm all right. Salam alaikum. He Muslim, I'm Muslim. He gave me the paper back. Salam alaikum. I ain't into that type of Islam, dog. Salam alaikum. So you gonna peacefully tell me that you don't want the paper? I get it. Not only do I get it, I heard it before. So you're supposed to learn how to deal with it. Rejection.
Yeah.
But more than rejection, stupidity. So in a nice way, I had to show him the stupidity of what he was saying and doing to a Muslim, a fellow Muslim. I'm not judging what kind of Muslim you are, doing what you're doing, where you are. I'm trying to give you the best that I got. That's the paper. We put that paper together. We support that paper. We back that paper. You're rejecting the best that we got, other than the minister himself. So we give you something that can really elevate you, man. You know how much is in that paper? How much life and love is in that paper and guidance? So you reject it. All right, I'm not thin-skinned. I'm thick-skinned now. But let me say this. I asked him, why didn't he take it? He said, because I'm a Sunni Muslim. That's why I didn't take it. I said, okay. I said, I understand, brother. I said, but can I ask you a question? I said, because I consider myself a pretty good Muslim. I believe that if the Holy Prophet saw what I'm doing, I believe he would receive what I'm doing. I said, what do you think the Holy Prophet would say about me? Do you think the Holy Prophet would say that I'm not a Muslim? And he was speaking Arabic and everything. He was smart enough to leave that alone. He said, I would hope that the Holy Prophet would just show mercy on you. I don't know how the Holy Prophet, he would have to tell you that himself. So he would have to tell you. I just would hope he would show mercy to you. I said, well, I don't believe he would say that I'm not a Muslim, because that would go against the revelation that he got from the angel Jibril, from Allah through the angel Jibril, that he looked at on all four sides. I don't believe that Muhammad would say that I'm not a Muslim and then write the surah on Allah knows best who's Muslim. I'm sure the Holy Prophet knew the difference between himself and Allah, that he's the messenger of Allah, not Allah. So if the scriptures, the Holy Quran says Allah knows best who's Muslim, then I can't imagine him telling me that I'm not a Muslim. And he danced off that. And I let him. That's what was going on that corner. He was smart enough to know that the game was over. Certainly. You know what I mean? Because you can't squirm out of that. Again, more knowledge in the hood. No first timer.
Right. What was the final thing you guys, the state of ignorance that we're in?
Say that again? Oh, I said, what do you think the Holy Prophet would say about the way we're handling this Jahiliyyah?
Yeah.
The period of ignorance that we're in right now. Yeah. This is the way we're trying to fix this. You know, Ikra, read. 96. The Surah 96, I believe, is the clock. Yes. This is what we doing. We got paper. We want you to read. The Holy Prophet said, read. I'm Salafi. Salafi goes back to the first generation. He said, read. That's the first revelation. We got a newspaper for you to read. So when you're right and exact, but I'm smoking weed, he said, I love these streets, dog. Remember he said that? Yeah. You know, because I told him, man, thanks for that knowledge, brother. We speak up to our people. Right. I appreciate that. Man, no problem, brother. You know, because I'm down with y'all, man. I love y'all brothers, man. You know, I just love these streets. So what are you saying? I cannot be in the nation and in the street at the same time. So I got to find something that allows me to stay in the street and still talk Islam. See, we have restrictive laws.
We should have covered this first.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Allah didn't want it that way.
Right.
He wanted it like this.
Right.
Hey, we submit.
Yes, sir.
Boom.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Yeah, man. We in that hour. And I know you starting to feel it. If you didn't feel it before, you really feeling it now. Don't take your life lightly, man. You are more than what you think you are, because you are made by the minister who was made by God through the Christ. You're big time, man. Your job is humongous. Yeah. Because you're about to do greater than your Savior. In His name.
In His name, indeed. Mashallah.
No, mashallah. Because it's written already. Jesus said you will do greater, not you might do greater. He said greater works will you do in my name. It is the will of Allah for us to do greater. We're not going to do worse. Didn't the minister say the nation will never fall again?
That's right.
So you can't fall and think that's greater. No, we are destined to do greater. All we can do is fall in and submit and pray that we are in that number that will see this thing come down and the beginning of the new world be built up. We are in that position to see this thing. But if we don't see it, man, work like no tomorrow.
Wow. I mean, I think that's the perfect way to tie it all in, unless there's something else on your mind.
Man, there's a lot on my mind. I told you I was full. But we don't want to exhaust our people. So we won't clip it right there.
Okay.
No final thought.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you again, brother.
Man, praise be to Allah. You know how we ain't even got to, we can just clip it there. We don't even have to do the whole deal.
All right. So,
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, sir. Here it is. That's what we do, brother.
every time, brother.
Every time, but at the same time, this is only for you. This is me and you doing God's will, brother. This ain't the way the normal cut goes.